Good morning, YouTube. It is bright and early in the morning. It's about 6:05 and the sun is just starting to make its way over the horizon. And I'm just sitting out here in the garden drinking my coffee. It's one of my favorite things to do this time of year. Listen to the birds, the roosters are waking up, the cows are waking up, and the garden is waking up. And today is a special day because it is the first official full garden tour of the 2026 growing season. Now, I told you guys I was going to bring you along weekly once things really started to kind of pick up, and I thought May 1st would be a really good time to start those weekly tours. Now, I did already show you kind of what my garden looked like, just as like a really quick entry to the season. Nothing really had been planted. I still had some cleanup to do, so you have an idea of the layout of my garden. But today we're going to go a little bit more in depth. I'm going to finish this cup of coffee and let there get a little bit more light. I know right now it looks like there's a little bit more light than there actually is, but for me, not just watching through the camera lens, I have to be able to see a little better. It's still a lot darker than the camera makes it look. So I'm going to sit here and enjoy my coffee for a few minutes and we will get started. All right, guys, I think there's enough light. I can see well enough to do the job. The first thing I want to show you is not something I planted. It's something that has been here for many, 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 many years. And it is this beautiful mock orange. This is by far one of my favorites. Let me zoom in here. If you have never smelled mock orange, you are so missing out. This is one of the first flowers that my husband brought to me as a bouquet when we were dating. That was something that he used to always do. He still does it. Don't get me wrong, he still does it. But when we were dating, I thought that was so special. I worked from home, and so he knew that, and so he would not bother me because I was working, but he would knock on the door and he would drop a bouquet of flowers, and I knew when I had a moment I could go and get them. And so I had a ton of surprise bouquets. It would either be ironweed that he picked when he was moving cows because he thought of me. And if you don't know what ironweed is, it's a really beautiful purple weed, but it's beautiful. I'll try to pop a picture in here. Or like I said, the very first one he brought me was mock orange, and it smelled so good. It was intoxicating. I wish you could bottle it up and wear it. But he would just bring me a bunch of random blooms, and again, he still does, and I love it. It's one of my most favorite things that he does. So I thought I'd start the garden tour with that. Oh my goodness, look at that. It's just so beautiful. Okay, so here we are at the southwest corner of my primary growing space. In its entirety, this space is about 75 foot by 100 foot, but I'm not currently utilizing all of that space. I'm trying to break it up into different sections, and I've got some landscaping ideas for what used to be my cut flower section down on the north side there. But what I'm currently growing in for vegetable production is about 50 by 100. So we're just going to start here. This row here is actually volunteered potatoes. I guess I left almost an entire row of potatoes in here last year. So that's what this is. And then if we keep going down, I'm kind of shocked that this is here. This is garlic. And I haven't planted garlic in this space in over 2 years. So I'm really pretty surprised that it is here, but I'll take it. And if you've been following along, you've seen my last couple of videos where I talked about all the rain that we've been getting. It's so hard to keep up with everything. The ground is so soaking wet still that as I'm stepping, my feet are getting very wet and cold. It's chilly this morning. I had to put my jacket on. It's only about 50 degrees outside. It's very chilly. And I'm hoping that we have some nice, warm, sunny days here soon to dry this garden out because it is so wet. I can't really do anything in it right now. And the yard is so wet, we can't mow, but the grass is growing like crazy. The weeds are taking over. But I told you guys I would be real and I would show you a realistic garden for a stay-at-home mom of 2 kids, homeschooling, full-time farming with her husband, full-time gardening, growing our own food, preserving our own food, running a small business. I have a family milk cow. Thankfully, she's dry right now, so that takes that off of my plate. But I'm super busy, and I wanted to show a little bit more realistic garden because there's a lot of beautiful gardens on social media and a lot of very talented gardeners on social media, and I love watching them. But a lot of them are in very different seasons of life than I'm in. And so I wanted to share the season that I'm in because I know that there's a lot of moms out there struggling just like I am with young kids and all of their responsibilities. And I didn't want them to feel alone because you can feel very alone. So I'm showing my weedy garden, my uncut grass, my unstring trimmed raised bed area. And I'm just bringing you along for real life. So let's go ahead and move on to the cabbages and the broccoli that we planted together before all of the rain. Well, they're alive, barely. They survived the flood. Some of them look a little worse for wear, like this broccoli here. Murphy, get out of the garden, please. But they are all alive. So we'll see if they end up surviving. Right here is an entire row of cabbage. This is an entire row of broccoli. And in between is marigolds that I seeded. And the grass is kind of taking over. So I don't know if they will end up doing anything or not, but we'll just have to wait and see. And then over here, I seeded a few more things. I have a row of kohlrabi, a row of dragon tongue bush beans, and a row of Roma 2 bush beans. They have not germinated yet. We need really warm days because it's been too cold, and I'm hoping all that rain they didn't drown, didn't rot the seeds. So we'll see. But as you can tell, the grass is thriving. And then I'm going to step back for just a minute. And it's extremely difficult to tell right now because everything is so young. I just planted all of this last year. But starting with those irises there, kind of looping around to the edge and all the way across, and then also back around to the edge of the yard and all the way across, is the start of a perimeter garden. I really wanted to do a good job of bringing pollinators to my garden. And my idea was to put a perimeter around the entire garden space of pollinator attracting flowers. Not only would it be beautiful and colorful, but it would be beneficial to my vegetables. Vegetables love flowers. It's one of my favorite books by Lisa Mason Ziegler. If you have not checked that out, you should. It's a really good book. But so I've planted a bunch of things in here. I've got a Weigela, I've got some bee balm, I've got a ton of irises that were gifted to me by my mom's best friend. I have some coneflower, some that I bought and some that was also gifted to me by my mom's friend. And I've got coleus, I've got yarrow, I've got calendula, I've got comfrey, I've got chamomile. I've got all kinds of things. So as it grows over the next couple of years, it should look really full and really colorful, and you should be able to actually see the perimeter that it's making around the garden. Right now, my garden is in the ugly duckling stage. Here in the next probably 2 more seasons, I think it's going to be exquisite, but we are in that ugly duckling stage, and that's okay. I see the vision in my head. I know what I'm doing. I know how this garden is going to transform. And so if I have to deal with a couple of years of ugly, I will. And my neighbors will all be talking about it here in a couple of years because it will just be that beautiful. I'm going to flip around and show you, well, first of all, the sun is continuing to come up and it is just stunning. This is my favorite time of the entire day. I'm really not a morning person 90% of the year. But this time of year, when it's a crisp, cool morning, I had a hot cup of coffee and I'm watching the sun come up, it's my favorite. I'm gonna flip around, we're gonna look at the onion beds. Okay, these are my 4 galvanized aluminum raised beds on the west side of my garden shed. And in them, I have red onions and leeks. This entire bed is full of Patterson onions. This is my garlic bed, and then on the other side, I just direct sowed some cabbage, some broccoli, some Brussels sprouts, carrots, and beets. So we'll go through each of these beds. Onions are pretty dramatic when they've been transplanted. As you can see, the leeks are already standing upright and look very strong and sturdy, and the red onions look very scraggly and almost like they're gonna die. But I promise you they're not. Well, as long as we don't continue to get flooding. But right now they're perfectly fine and they'll pop out of it. They just need some warmer temperatures. And again, this is an onion bed. This is all of my Patterson onions. And they were planted a couple of days before the red onions and they're already looking better. So those red onions will pull out of it. And this is what I'm talking about. I thought I could eyeball the placement of these raised beds, that our mower would fit through it. We have a 0 turn. And I'm like 2 inches off. So we can't fit the mower through it and I have to string trim it. And both my husband and I hate string trimming. Like we detest it. I would rather mow the entire yard, and we have a very big yard, than string trim. I like mowing. I enjoy it. I don't get to do it often because I have the kids with me all the time and I don't have a safe way of doing that and watching the kids. But when they get a little bit older, I imagine I'll be taking over the mowing responsibilities. But we might hire the string trimming out. Our brother-in-law is a landscaper and owns a lawn care business, so maybe we'll pay him to do it. But all that to say, don't feel bad if the weeds in your walkways are taller than your plants, because so are mine. And this is the garlic, and I don't know. Let me see if I can, I'm trying to bring it in and show you the water droplets on these garlic leaves, but it's not working very well. There, that's working a little bit better. Just early morning dew. But anyways, this is my garlic bed. This is a hardneck variety, and I cannot, for the life of me, remember. Usually I order red chestnut, but I don't know if I did that this year. So we'll just have to see if it's red chestnut when we go to harvest it. I think it is. And I think I might have a green bean trying to volunteer. I either dropped a seed or it's volunteering from last year. So that's garlic. And then in this final raised bed over here, it's a hot mess. I put my seeds in really neatly over here in rows, but all this water has kind of washed it out and you can see there's like big clusters. But I have 2 Brussels sprouts here that are coming up. So one there, one right there. And then I have Napa cabbage, which all ended up down there at the end. So I'll have to move those out, but I'm gonna let them get established a little bit more. And cauliflower, same thing. I'll have to thin some of those out. And then a couple of red cabbage on the end there. And then on that side of the raised bed, I have carrots, beets, and you saw me tuck in just a few radish the other day. So there's not just a ton growing in the garden yet, but I do want to take you out and show you my potatoes that we started over in the pasture, as well as the fruit trees we planted this year. Before we get to the potatoes, I'm going to show you this area. I have some really old falling apart chairs trying to block an area where I put a bunch of flower seeds because my dog keeps wanting to sit there. But this is right in front of my garden shed, which I still need to finish painting. And last year on just a whim, threw a bunch of marigold and cosmo seeds right here, and it ended up being absolutely beautiful. So I did that again. I put some marigold seeds here, which I do have a few of them germinating. So that's going to be great. But this year I don't think I put zinnias here. I don't fully remember, but I think I just did marigolds here and a couple of sunflowers right here on the edge. And if we turn right around, I put a couple sunflowers on each side of the arched trellis, just because I thought as they grew up, it would just be a really cool entry to have bright yellow sunflowers right here on each side of the trellis as you walk down to harvest. While we're walking over to the pasture, I'll show you, this is kind of what I call the nightshade area. I put things like my tomatoes, my peppers, my okra, my eggplant, all of that will go in here, and none of that will get planted for at least a couple of weeks. It is far too cold. Oh, and then again, I need to string trim all this so you can see it better, but I have some baptisia, some hyssop, some coneflower, a little bit more hyssop, and this is just kind of a continuation of that perimeter garden. My feet are getting absolutely soaked. I don't know if you can tell in the footage, but this ground is so stinking wet. But now we're out here in the pasture, and I still have some work to do to kind of level this out, but again, it's so wet, I can't do that yet. This will become the pumpkin patch, the winter squash patch, the Indian corn, the popcorn patch, and also the potato patch. So on the very edge here, this was just kind of a last minute idea too, but where this T-post is and broke off, all the way over to that little marker there is 6 different asparagus crowns. And over time, I'm going to continue this row all the way down. This is about a 75-foot long stretch. So eventually it'll be a really long row of asparagus, and we'll kind of block it in from the other, like all the pumpkins and stuff. But I just wanted to get a start on it this year. So I've got that marked. All of this area here is empty all the way over to where we covered the potatoes with an old bale of alfalfa. You can kind of see that there. And some of the potatoes are coming up, so I'll bring you over to show you that. You can kind of see them starting to poke through. And if you remember, right after I planted these potatoes, our cows got in here and trampled the whole thing. So I wasn't sure if that was going to mess with the potatoes or not, and I'm still not entirely sure, but there is green life coming out of them, so that is hopeful. And then I've wanted fruit trees for many, many, many years, and this year Home Depot had a price that I could not refuse. They were about $20 a piece, and so we planted a couple of apple trees. This one is a Fuji, and I'm leaving the tags on for a little while so that I know what they are. Eventually I'll have to take them off, but they're not hurting anything right now. And that tree is starting to look really, really nice and put on quite a bit of new growth. And this one is an apple tree. Is this a Gala? No, this one's an Ambrosia. And then I think I've told you this before, but this one's starting to come up. I planted some comfrey. I just took a little piece of the comfrey I already had and stuck it in the ground, and it's starting to come up. So comfrey is a phenomenal plant to have on your property, in your garden. It's what they call a biodynamic accumulator. What that means is the root goes so far down into the ground that it's able to soak up a lot of nutrients that most plants are not able to do, not able to reach. And it stores it in its leaves. These are excellent plants to put under your fruit trees because you can chop and drop those leaves and use them as a mulch around your fruit tree, and all of those beautiful nutrients will then become available to your fruit trees. So I put a comfrey plant at the base of each tree. So moving on from the apple trees, this is a peach tree. This is Alberta. And this tree was a little bit more expensive. This was a $40 tree. And I only got one peach tree because we have another peach tree right there. So we should be fine with pollination on that. And we did a heavy pruning on that peach tree because it produced last year, but it produced tiny, tiny, tiny little fruit, and it was just way overwhelmed with all of the branches that it had. So we did a heavy pruning, and it seems to be doing okay. And this is my son's cherry tree. Magnolia has a magnolia tree on the front side of the house. Magnolia is my daughter. So we planted a tree for her, and Miles wanted a tree. And so he picked the cherry tree to be his. And the tag came off of this one, so I don't know what it is, but it is a tart cherry. I should have worn my mud boots. My feet are soaking wet in these shoes. I was not thinking this through. You can hear it. Oh, that's gross. Look how wet they are. They're leaving wet prints everywhere. And look at my dog. Soaking wet. I'm not going to talk too much about the green stalk, but I have some kale and spinach and Swiss chard and lettuces really starting to take off in there. This is dill right out by my patio so that when I'm canning all of my pickles, I have plenty of dill at my disposal. And my licorice basil did not germinate, and I didn't think that it would. That was really old seed. But my chives have germinated, and I have thyme. I have a placeholder here because I buy oregano, and then that's my rosemary that I purchased. I purchased the thyme as well, but they didn't have the type of oregano that I wanted, so I have to go to another garden center. And then over here, last night, I refreshed these pots. I have plans for some hot pink geraniums in this one and some creeping Jenny, and then I hang my hummingbird feeder up here. I don't know what I'm going to put in there or in there yet, but I have a lot of petunias that I started from seeds, so that might be what goes in there. This will be for cilantro. I have 3 blueberries here. Actually 4. I have 2 in this one. 1 in that one and 1 in that one. So they're just kind of hanging out and getting established, and they're up by the house so that I don't forget about them. If I put them out in the pasture with where I plan to put all the berries, I will forget them. So they're up here and will be moved to the pasture later in their life. And I have one more thing I want to show you, and that's my newest green stalk, my yellow one. I just put a video out where I was planting that, so you've already seen that. I was just direct seeding a bunch of things, so there's literally nothing growing in it yet, because that was just a couple days ago. But there is seed, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like, tell you what's in it, and as the season progresses, we'll watch it grow. All right, so I put some sugar snap peas in this top layer here. I don't know. I assume that they'll just kind of drape down. I'm not really sure how that will work in a green stalk, but we're going to have fun with it. This entire section here is bunching onions. Let me zoom out so it's a little easier to see. So this was our sugar snap peas. This is bunching onions. This is black seeded Simpson lettuce. This is rainbow beets. And this row is Napa and Savoy cabbages. Well guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. I am so excited for this growing season. Not doing the CSA this year has taken so much pressure off of me that I am having a blast in my garden again. And I'm so happy to bring you along for the ride. I appreciate you all watching. I love hearing from you in the comment section. So if you have any questions or comments or tips or advice for me, I am all ears. Drop it down in the comment section below, and I will catch you in the next video.